Such an honor to have you with us, Mr. McDowell.
Thank you.
It is our pleasure to have you with us. And since, if you allow me to start the ball, since you've been asked probably every single question about Clockwork Orange there is in the universe, I'm going to start with something else, if you don't mind. Because I'm a big fan of the movies you made with Mr. Lindsay Anderson. And I think that the movie If, directed in '68, is probably the greatest punk anarchist movie ever made. And we needed that movie. We need that movie even now, more than ever. So thanks for that movie.
Thank you was my first. Not a bad way to start.
No.
One's film career with a great director, great man, great friend, until the day he died. He was a genius, as simple as that. I mean, I worked with some great directors, but Lindsay was very different. His favorite director was John Ford, the great American Hollywood director of mainly westerns. And I asked Lindsay why he liked John Ford so much, and he said, "Well, Malcolm, there are many great directors, and there are many poets. John Ford was both." The same for Lindsay Anderson. He was both.
It was at the height of '68 when you played in If. Did it felt at the time you were quite young? Did it felt at the time that you were part of a social revolution and that the character you would play would become emblematic of those years?
Well, of course, you never understand, the power of what you're doing. I mean, it's a job, you're an actor. But of course, to work with such an extraordinary man, and I didn't even know who the hell he was when I went in to meet him. The first time I went in to meet Lindsay Anderson was an audition, and I was a bit late, not in a great mood. And I went in, and they were all packing up to leave. And I just sort of went, "Sorry, I'm late. I'm here for the audition. I'm not too late, am I?" And then this guy gets up on the stage, and he had, very intelligent eyes and a very friendly demeanor. And we started to chat, and he said, "What are you doing?" I don't want to sit down, actually. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm doing this modern dress Shakespeare play, Twelfth Night at the Royal Court." He went, "Oh, sounds awful." I said, "Really?" I was a young actor. I was thrilled to be at the Royal Court Theatre, one of the great theatres in London, one of the avant-garde theatres, and then he went, "Who's directing it?" I told him. And he went, "Oh, God, she's awful. So pretentious." And I went, "Well, actually, you're right. It is pretentious. It's a load of crap." And so, of course, we dissected everybody in the cast, the directors, the assistant directors, everybody at the Royal Court. And then at the end of this gossip conversation, there was a pause, and he said, "You do realize, Malcolm, that I am a director of the Royal Court." I said, no, actually, I didn't realize that. I suppose then that I'm probably not going to get this part then, am I? And he went, "Not necessarily." The rest was history.
And since I have you for myself, before everyone else asks you questions, there's something I heard, but I would like you to tell the story, if you can, to the people who never heard about it. It seems that the character you played, Mick Travis, the infamous Mick Travis, who appeared in 3 different movies, the Mick Travis trilogy with Oh Lucky Man and Britannia Hospital. And it seems that you are responsible for the main story of Oh Lucky Man.
Yes, when we won the grand prize, the Balloon d'Or, or whatever it's called. No, not the Balloon d'Or. That's the soccer thing. I'm not completely so into soccer at the moment. What's it called? The Palm. Oh, the Palm d'Or. That's right. The Palm d'Or at Cannes. And sort of we were walking out, I had my arm around him, which of course he hated physical contact of any kind. So immediately, of course, I engaged it. And I said, you know, Linz, we're a really good team. Let's do another film together. He stopped. He looked at me like I'd crawled from beneath a rock. And he said, if you want to do another film with me, I suggest you write it. And then he walked off. And I went, I will write it. I'm going to do it. And so I started writing my adventures as a coffee salesman in Yorkshire, where they only drink tea. And I took the 40 pages to him a few months later. By the way, it was like pulling teeth. I'm not a writer. And I took it to him, and he groaned and moaned and looked at it. He said, is this supposed to be a comedy? I said, yes, it is, but of course you're from the South. I'm from the North, where we have a sense of humor. He goes, actually, I'm a Scot. Oh, sorry, I don't know about the Scots. I'm sure they're quite funny people. I mean, they go around in those skirts, don't they? Anyway, he read it, he looked at me and he said, Malcolm, this is not very good, is it? I said, yes it is, and that's going to be your next film. He went, really? Well then you better call David Sherwin, who was the writer of If. And that's the way Oh Lucky Man started. And so David read my 40 pages, and he came, I was in my apartment, he went into the bedroom to read it while we were having dinner or whatever. He came out and he went, this is bloody wonderful! I love this stuff! It's so funny! I said, well, you must be from the North.
My last question, since it is absolutely normal that there is going to be some Clockwork Orange questions, let's do a transition. It seemed that the character of Alex DeLarge was actually inspired by...
His name is really Alex, you know, I added DeLarge.
You added DeLarge?
Of course. It was a joke, it was meant to be the size of my penis. That's DeLarge. I put a duh in, I thought it sounded more, you know, French.
And my ComicCon is over.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But it seemed that a bit you played in If was actually the main inspiration for the character in Clockwork Orange.
No, they have nothing to do with each other at all, except for the fact the same actor played the part.
Wasn't there something about a smile that you...
Well, the truth is that when Kubrick gave me the book to read, I mean, he'd already cast me, and I didn't know this because he'd seen If, and this is told to me by Christiana Kubrick, who was Stanley's wife. And she told me, it was just a few years ago, that, you know, he had this projection set up in his house, and he'd watch movies every night. And he was looking forward to seeing this If, because it was a big hit in England, it was a big, you know, caused a big furore, you know, and all the rest of it. So he watched, according to Christiana, he watched my entrance in the movie, which is spectacular, by the way, you know, with this hat, the scarf, and all the rest of it, and inspired, incidentally, by a wonderful poster by Toulouse-Lautrec. And so Stanley hit the internet, the intercom button, and said, relace it, show that again. He did that 4 times. He turned to Christiana and said, after the 4th time, we found our Alex. And that was it. I didn't know anything about this, but you know, Stanley was never one to talk about the character or anything like that. And of course, I was a stage actor, you know, primarily. I'd only been on stage. I'd never done a film. And you know, he would never talk about the character or anything about it. So, you know, if I asked him something, he'd look at me and he'd go, well, G-Mouth, that's why I hired you. Oh, yes, of course. So I asked Lindsay to read the script, and he did. And I said, how am I going to play this part? And he said, well, this is a brilliant piece of direction, actually, and really a very good lesson for would-be directors. Don't overcomplicate it. He said there's a shot of you in If when you come into the gymnasium to be beaten. And it's a close-up. You look at your tormentors and smile. That's the way you played this part. And that is the way I played the part. At least, anyway, on the first day.
It's going to be your turn for the question, but before we go, Mr. McDowell, no matter what these people tell you, you were a great villain in Tank Girl. They like it, too.
They seem to like it. I'm not proud of my work in Tank Girl. I just think the film's lacking somewhat. It wasn't very well realized. It should have been a better movie. Laurie Petty was a wonderful choice, to play it. The script was not worked on properly, and that's the only thing that I would say about it. But other than that, it's great. Ice-T's fantastic. The cast is really great. So
Ice-T is always there.
He's always fantastic. True.
There you go, good people.
Thank you. All the best. Where are you going? Oh, that's it. I'm on my own now, am I? Well, let's have some fun.
Well, I was going to say, you're with us, and welcome to Montreal.
Thank you.
I've been following your career, sir, for such a long time, and you inspired me to get into my first street gang and commit my first homicide, so thank you.
I'm thrilled I could help.
No, but I started in college as a theater student. I moved on to communications and other things, and I just want to say congratulations on your path in theater and where it has taken you in your career. You've done amazing work, and you've done amazing with your career in life. And I just wanted to ask you about your life, what passions that you have, and like non-profits and your family and such. I was just curious.
Well, I really don't think I'm going to talk about my private life.
No, your passions, like in non-profits.
It's going to be on the bloody internet.
No. I mean your like passion and like whether it be, I'm a father's rights activist. Are you an activist in Wales or anti-poverty or what?
Wales?
Whatever.
Well, yes, I am an activist in Wales. If I see one, I'll shoot the bugger. I don't see many, though, in where I live, in Ventura County. No, but I know, I'm just teasing with you. Of course, listen, I am a father of 5 children. I have 3 boys of 8, 5, and 3. Do I need to say any more? My life is completely taken up. I live in the noisiest house in California, where the debate in the morning at our house is, what Halloween costume are you wearing? I always say, I'm going as my friend Darth Vader. Dad, he's an evil man. He's not an evil man. He's a misunderstood man who had a very, very unhappy childhood. That's my house. That's what it's like. And then we're all off to the golf course.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you for the question. Are you leaving now?
No.
Oh, I see. I thought you were going. You've asked your bloody question and now you're going to piss off. Oh, I see. I'm now getting the format here. Yes, hello.
Hello, Mr. McDowell.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Who's this, the Queen of Sheba?
No, it's Hela from Thor.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, good.
Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening me.
I have a compliment and a question. I'll start with a compliment. I was there last evening when you joined your friends, William Shatner and Patrick Stewart, and I don't need to tell you this because you were there. The standing ovation you received is because you added such a wonderful energy, like a bolt of lightning, to the set, and it was just wonderful.
Yes, they're rather dreary, aren't they? Thank you, I'll take that as a compliment.
So pause from that. it seemed that you were such wonderful friends. You were insulting each other in such a big way, as only good friends can. And I was wondering, given that there are so very few roles of a caliber suitable to you and your friends, how does such a friendship flourish in such an environment of competition?
Well, you assume too much, of course. You assume that we're great friends. We're good actors. No, listen. Of course we're friends. I mean, I've known Patrick Stewart pretty much as long as I've been acting. And, although I was never really friendly to him because he's not the sort of cuddly type, is he? And he had a bald head even in those days, in 1965. I like to say, well, he was playing old men even then. But he's a wonderful guy and he's a wonderful actor. And, you know, I've always sort of kept tabs on people that I've worked with, kind of, you know, found out what he was doing. He was at the Royal Shakespeare Company, I think, for half of his life, playing this, that, and the other, and always pontificating, one of those. But he's a great actor, and as for Bill, well, you know, I just met him when I killed him, and you gotta love Bill Shatner, don't you? I mean, how could you not love Bill Shatner? He's a fantastic figure of fun, I think, and he can laugh at himself. And it actually amused me because when I had done the deed and killed him the first time, I sat on a chair. We were up a mountain outside of Vegas in the Valley of Fire. I think that's what he said last night. Anyway, we're sitting there on this mountain, and he comes over with his recorder and said, "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" I went, "No. What about?" He goes, "I'm writing a book about this. I gotta, you know, get everything for its worth out of this thing." I went, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Okay, right, Malcolm. How does it feel to have killed one of television's great, you know, characters?" I said, "Well, Bill, to be honest with you, I think half the people are going to be thrilled and half are going to be furious." He goes, "Oh yeah? Who's going to be thrilled?" I said, "The people that have had it up to here for 30 years, Bill." That's a true story. And he did laugh. He just fell off his chair laughing and went, "Oh." And we had a great fun. So, and you know, he's a very generous man. And he's, every time that I've been doing something or some charity thing, we've asked Bill, he's always been there. So, he's a good human being. And I'm glad to call myself a friend of his.
Well, you are a very good human being, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I have a non-Clockwork Orange question. You said that you have 3 sons. I was wondering how you enjoyed working on...
I've got 3 young ones. I've actually got 4.
My question is actually about Phineas and Ferb. I know that you did a bunch of work with Disney on that show. How did you or your family enjoy that?
Well, Phineas and Ferb is a wonderful, you know, cartoon, if that's what it's called. And they do great work. It's beautifully written, and you know, my friend there is Swampy, and that's what they call him. And whenever he calls, I'm happy to do it. My kids love it because they hear my voice. You know, when I did Bolt and the ads were on, "Get that dog!" They were like, "Dad!" You know, they love it. That's the reason I do them, for the kids, really.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Because they don't pay.
Disney doesn't pay?
But Phineas and Ferb is a classic, you know, it'll go down as a classic, and it's a great show. It's actually a show that, you know, if you're stuck with the kids, you can actually watch and enjoy it yourself. So that's the mark of how well written it is. It's really kind of cool.
My niece watches it, that's why.
Who does?
My niece.
Oh, and how old is she?
She's 7.
27?
7.
And you watch it with her, I take it?
I do, yes.
Well, there you are, you see. You've proved my point. Thank you
very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good day, Mr. McDowell. It's an honor to meet the man who killed Kirk.
All right, let's not rub it in.
No, seriously, if someone had to do it, I'm very glad it was you. My question is, once I was reading an article on the internet, and they were comparing William Shatner to David Caruso, and the fact that they take their character very seriously. You work with both of them. I'd like to know what can you tell us, and what are the comparisons that you can do with the two of them.
I really wouldn't believe all that you read on the internet. I've worked with both, so that is true. I would never in a million years compare David Caruso with the great William Shatner. It's acting from A to B, that one.
You don't like the glasses?
I love the glasses. It's just so ridiculous, you know. And this sideways on stuff. It's like, where's he looking? I thought I was in this scene. Very weird. I don't know who put these thoughts into the man's head, to be honest. But having said that, very successful show. Who am I? I mean, that's why I'm not running a television company or a film company, because I would have it off the air within a millisecond. But people love that crap. And I'm talking about you!
Well, it's cancelled now. You must be happy.
No, I'm not, because I had a recurring bloody character. Cancel the damn thing. I had fun on it, actually. I loved pulling his leg.
Oh, you had fun with David?
Yeah, I would just go up to him and say, "Hello, Grumpy," on camera. It's like, is that in the script? No, I'm making it all up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. McDowell.
Hello.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
My question is actually regarding a smaller role you had, playing a British person in the show South Park. I'm just wondering, what was your experience on that show, and basically if you got to do any improv, what was it like working with Matt Stone and Trey Parker?
Oh God, well they're amazing, those two, and what amazing talents they are, there's just no end to it. I'm a great fan of the movies, South Park movies. I mean, the Canadian song is hilarious. Well, all of them, they're brilliant. I just think they're irreverent and hilarious and just clever. And so when they asked me, I was at a party and met Trey, and he said, "Would you come down and do one?" I said, "Any time." So I thought I was going to be, a cartoon character, but no, I wasn't. So anyway, it was a great honor to work with him.
Did you get to do any improv on the set?
I can't remember a thing about it. Probably, knowing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well,
Very good. Thank you. Your character of Dr. Loomis in Halloween 2 is really quite different than in Halloween 1. He's a bit more green.
well spotted, sir.
My question is, did you agree with this transition? And if not, where would you have taken the character?
Not only did I agree with it, I suggested it.
Really?
Well, I was bored with playing the other one. I thought, if I'm going to do another Halloween, let's make him an absolute prick. And Rob thought that was hilarious. And so he concocted this thing that he was the only character from the original that actually profited by these tragedies. And, you know, it's sort of, it says something about, you know, society in which we live, certainly in the United States, where there's a book deal on the table, there's a film deal, there's a TV reality show, there's this, there's that, the other, and we're, you know, we're kind of swamped with mediocrity, which is exactly what Loomis is the standard bearer of. Mediocrity. But of course he thinks he's hot shit, you know. And so that's great fun to play. And it gives me something to do. And then of course there's a slight redemption thing when he sees the thing on the television and he rushes off to try and save the day and then gets his head ripped off. Which, by the way, I will be back again. Because they'll stick my head back on with sellotape, whatever it is. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. The Weinsteins have got it, so anything can happen.
Well, I hope you'll be back with the head or not.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I just want to start off saying enchanté. I want to also say that I love Tank Girl and I loved you in it, so
thank you.
Ashamed of that, it was awesome, and you made that movie along with Lori Petty. You played a lot of eccentric characters and you had a lot of colorful roles, and I was just wondering if throughout your career you've met some eccentric people, and what was the craziest person that came up to you and what they did to you?
You know, of course I've met some strange people. You know, when you're offered a part to play and you read the script, it sort of becomes your responsibility to entertain and to do something with it and try to give as many layers to these characters as is possible and as probably and usually not written. So, because I like to really delve in and dive in, I probably do, you know, a lot more with these characters than I should.
And you do good things with them.
Huh?
You do great things with them because you bring them.
Thank you. Thank you. I was looking for that compliment. No, you know, it depends. It all depends on what the writer is after in the script. And it all depends on the script. I mean, we are slaves to the written word. Thank you.
So, I'd like to give you advice. My son is an aspiring actor, and he's next June he'll be starting at AMDA, American Musical and Dramatic Academy in Manhattan. So for 4 years, it'll be 2 years in Manhattan and 2 years in Los Angeles. He knows that even when he gets out of there, there's no guarantees that he'll get a job. You have to. It's a life of auditions.
Let me just clarify that. Yeah. He's going to be out of work.
Yes, exactly. Well, he knows there's going to be a life like that. Yeah. The best advice I've been able to give him was simply, well, okay, you follow your heart, but use your head, have a plan B. What would you now, in retrospect, with the experience and hindsight that you have on the career of being an actor, what would be your advice that you would give to a young actor, an 18-year-old, or a person trying to become an actor?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And firstly, I would say, don't do it. Please don't. Get a job where you can pay your mortgage. But having said that, to a young aspiring actor, he's not going to take any notice of me. And why should he? Why should he take any notice of anybody? If he really wants to be an actor, he'll be an actor. There's nothing you can do. So you'll soon know whether he's really got it or not, because even though there are tremendous disappointments, you know, tremendous, and you have to have a skin like a rhino, because you're always on somebody's list and you're always being rejected. It doesn't matter who you are. Even Tom Cruise, I see, has been rejected recently. So there you are. I can get a bit of fun into this, can't I?
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Pleasure.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Can you speak to us about your experience on Caligula?
On what?
Caligula.
Oh, Caligula! Oh, yes, I did make that film. That was only a year of my life wasted. Actually, you know, I sort of had fun. It was a weird experience. Gore Vidal wrote the script originally, and he's the one who got me involved. And if there's a script by Gore Vidal, one of America's great novelists, you tend to say, yeah, I'd love to do it, about this incredible character. And then, of course, the producer was Bob Guccione, a known pornographer. So I said to Gore, well, you know, who is this Guccione? He goes, just think of him as one of the Warner Brothers. Big mistake, Gore. Anyway, you know, it was a sort of fascinating year, really, of ups and downs, of strangeness, of, you know, working with the great Peter O'Toole, who I adored, and John Gielgud, and Helen, who I kind of strong-armed into coming out to Rome to do that part. It was just such a mess, you know. There's sort of, I always feel when I see bits of it that, God, there's such a good film screaming to get out, and it just never did. And because there were too many cooks, and of course Guccione, who kept adding pornography and sticking it in there, you know, to use a metaphor that we all know. So he stuck in 2 lesbians going at it for 10 minutes, and then 2 gay guys, and 2 this and that and the other, and my God, what a kerfuffle. When I first saw it, I went, I don't remember that. That's because it was shot 2 years later. My God. Anyway, actually it was quite funny. My 12-year-old, my oldest son, he went with his pals to Blockbuster when Blockbusters were around, and videos, remember those? And he was telling me about this excursion that these boys had, and he said, and Dad, you know, of course, we ended up in the X-rated section. I went, yeah, of course. And he goes, Dad, you have a film there. And I know I do, I'm very proud of it. He goes, oh my God, all my friends think you're so cool. So hey, I'm a porno film star too. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. McDowell, it is so bloody brilliant to see you in person, and I just wanted to say that even before I saw you in Clockwork Orange, I basically saw you for the first time in Heroes, that very, very memorable character that you did. That was such a presence throughout season 1, and your appearance in the season was such a high peak. And then I was just thrilled when you came back in season 3, and I just wanted you to reminisce on that experience, how it was for you to work on something that was so big for a while.
For a while, yeah. That's the operative word, until they screwed it up. You know, to be honest with you, I really didn't know what Heroes was. And I was talking to my son, and I said, I don't know, now I've done this twice. First time was with Entourage, and I go, I don't know, they've offered me this thing called Entourage. And he went, Dad, oh my God, that's such a great show! And I went, oh my God, I turned it down. I'm going to call my agent right now. And I did the same thing with Heroes, you know, because I really didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't really watch sort of those weird dramas on television, but when I read the parts, and then I heard that they'd been talking about Lindemann endlessly, and when I read the scene making pot pies.
Pot pie, yeah.
Fantastic. I arrived on the set at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Long Beach at some hotel in the bowels of the Westin or whatever it was, and By 9 o'clock, I was on my way home after making all those pot pies. But it was fabulous, and I love Adrian Pasdar. He's such a good actor, and I got to do a lot of stuff with him. But you know, I was shooting, I think, Halloween, when I read My Death, and I screamed. I went, how could they get rid of this great character like this? And I talked to the head guy, and I said, why would you kill Lindemann off so fast? He went, we want these to be like the James Bond villains. You know, they come and go, and that's it. Well, there was such a thing about it, they had to bring me back. So I came back, and I was doing the first scene back. I was working with Adrian again, and I noticed there was some dandruff or something on his jacket. So I leaned forward and went like this in the take. They went, cut! What are you doing? I said, well, he had something on his jacket. What a bit, I'm sorry, is it against the union rules or something? They went, no, but you're dead. Oh, no, really? Well, it doesn't say in the script I'm dead. They go, no, you're dead. I couldn't understand a word of it. And to be honest with you, I don't think they could either.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Clockwork Orange question. I was wondering what your favorite scene to film was. I know, I'm sorry.
I've got lots of favorites, really, that, you know, I remember quite fondly. Of course, the opening shot is you know, I remember it very distinctly, and it's such a really arresting shot, and you know, Kubrick actually operated the shot. It was on a track, and it was a big telephoto lens, and it was doing this and pulling back, and so you know, we did this shot. It took all day to do it, and a couple of days later, Stanley came up to me and he said, "I saw the shot." The first shot in the film. I went, how is it? He goes, oh, it's great. It's great. Did you realize that when you kind of lifted your glass and you made a gesture to the audience? I said, yes, of course. He said, oh, you did that on purpose? I went, well, yes, Stanley, yes, I did. He said, well, why did you do that? And I said, well, I'm just subtly telling the audience they're about to go on one hell of a ride. He went, that's good. He had no idea what I was doing. Another one I like is at the end of the movie in the hospital with this crazy lady psychiatrist that comes in and shows me some pictures and asks for me to give my instant comments about them, and she says something like, you know, I just want you to look at the pictures and tell me what the first thing that comes into your head. Well, don't take too long, little Alex. And I just say, so we did this scripted, and it was, you know, Stanley was in 10 takes, and I said, Stanley, can I really just say the first? He went, try it. And that's, of course, the take that's in the movie, and I'm sort of going, cabbages, knickers, whatever. And so immediately, it gives the movie, at the end, when it needed it, a huge injection of energy. And I mean, it's, you know, wasn't thought out. It's not me being clever, it's just an instinctive thing. So that's, I'm very fond of that scene, because it didn't have the heady hand of God on it.
I was also wondering if you could do the smile that Kubrick likes so much.
I only do that for money. Something like that. But I have to hear Beethoven to get into that. Which, by the way, that movie really did open my ears and eyes to classical music. So thank you, Anthony Burgess. And by the way, let's talk about genius. Anthony Burgess wrote this book, and Kubrick took everything from the book. Without Burgess, there would be no Clockwork Orange. I mean, he was the visionary. and an extraordinary man he was. I spent a week with him in New York when the movie opened, and oh my God, it was hilarious. He was one of the funniest men I've ever met, and a great raconteur. He was very much into his bowel movements. I'd go to pick him up in the car. He was staying at the Algonquin, and he'd get in, sit in the car, and he'd go, I'd say, "How are you, Anthony?" He'd go, have you had a dump yet?" I go, "Yes, as a matter of fact, had a very nice bowel movement this morning." He went, "Oh, really? I haven't. God, I hope it's not going to be 4 o'clock before I can do anything." So that's how we started our day with Anthony. Okay. Probably too much information, eh?
One of my favorite movies is Time After Time.
Great.
And part of the reason why is that you play the part of H.G. Wells, who's one of science fiction's earliest contributors. I was wondering two things. One is, did you do a lot of research on H.G. Wells himself and read his works before you took on the part? And the other question, then I'll ask after.
The other question was?
I'll ask afterwards.
Oh, it's a two-parter. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, I did do some research on H.G. Wells. Now, that goes against my grain, because I like to play what's in the damn script, not about something that doesn't really exist, and we're not making a biopic about H.G. Wells. He is there to serve the script and to run after Jack the Ripper in modern society. So I called the BBC and spoke to the archivist who had a recording of H.G. Wells. Wow. And he sent it to me as a gramophone record of an interview he'd done in 1928. So it was all cracked and scratched, and I played it, and this is how H.G. Wells talked. He talked like that. High up like that with a real South London accent. And I thought, I don't think that's going to wash in Hollywood. So I sent the record back. And I thought, you know what? I'll play my own H.G. Wells. And of course he was nothing like that character at all. The only thing that I think we had in common was a moustache. And he was quite a portly guy, I think. But it was so much fun to do, and to work with Mary, who was wonderful in it, and David Warner, who I'd been at Stratford with Patrick Stewart, 1966, where David was Hamlet. He played one of the great Hamlets, and I was the fourth English Herald or something. So, but we were great friends in those days. He was a very shy individual, a bit like Blifil in Tom Jones, gangly and spotty and weird, but a great guy, and he was so brilliant in Time After Time as Jack the Ripper. But a good movie, and thank you.
So
now, the second part of the question.
Well, that segues into my other question, is both you and David Warner worked on the various forms of Star Trek. I wonder if that's just a coincidence or not.
No, that's not a coincidence. That was planned in the great scheme of things. That we would appear in the same show, not together, but 2 or 3 years apart. This is the way mysteries sometimes turn out. Listen, are you kidding? That's a question? Now, you started off well. I thought the first half of the question was quite intelligent. But it soon degenerated into absolute nonsense.
Should have left on top.
What?
I should have left on the high note.
I think so.
Yeah, hi, I'd like to say it's an honor to meet you, and I'd like to speak about one of your lesser known but amazing roles, because I'm a PC gamer, as Admiral Tolman in the 90s PC game series Wing Commander. Yes! And I'd like to, honestly, it's such an honor to speak to you about this, because I'm a big fan, and don't take it personally, but I did discover you through the game, and I was literally playing the game to see you acting instead of playing the game.
Well, I suppose better be discovered than not at all.
Exactly. So I have two questions. First of all, what attracted you to the role? And secondly, how was it in regards to...
Who said money? I heard that. I heard that! Stand up! How do you know?
I guess that as a struggling actor, money is always money.
He's quite right. I have to admit it. I wasn't going to actually say it. I was going to give you some bullshit answer. What?
Give us the bullshit too.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a feeling about the money, and how was it in regards to...
Well, actually, to be honest, as far as we can be in this forum, knowing that it's all going to be on the internet, I would say this. I was sent the script by Chris Roberts, who's a very intelligent, smart young man, who had done these games and all the rest of it. And this is the very early days of video games. There were none, as far as I knew, except for, Pac-Man. That's the only one I knew. So when I read this, I thought, well, this is really very well written. He's done a very good job. So I said, yeah, I could do it. And, I said, but how long is it going to take? I really don't want to spend too long on this. And he said, no, we'll just do you on a green screen, and you can, we'll put it on a teleprompter. Music to my ears. I said, great, I'll be there. So they sent a car. I drove somewhere in the valley, got out, got behind the green screen behind me, and there's the teleprompter, and there was the character. I just read the damn thing. Now, I did look around and act a bit, but I can't say it was one of my great performances, but actually it probably was, because it kept me still and centered. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But then that was Wing Commander 3. For Wing Commander 4, I actually had to learn the damn thing. And we did it on real sets, which was bizarre. It was like a movie, he wanted to be a movie director by that time.
With Mark Hamill, right? How was it working with Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
What a nice man. What a charmer. Where is he? I haven't seen him for a bit, but Mark is a lovely guy, and he was in a movie I made called Britannia Hospital, and I know he found it very hard to kind of move on with his career, but he's done millions of voiceovers and stuff, and he was one of the real forerunners of all these video games, so we have a lot to thank Mark Hamill for, actually. And he's a very talented guy, and it was nice because I'd worked with him in London with Lindsay Anderson, and so to work with him on this was fun, so it was great. Is that last question coming up now? 5 minutes remaining. God almighty, I could talk for 25. Yes, go on.
It's fine, no, thank you so much.
Well, move off there. Thank you. I was just joking. Yes. Sir. I can tell this is going to be an intelligent question.
Well,
because we're coming to the end. Forget it. All right. Anybody else?
Well, my question was this.
Yes.
Before a character gets to, in front of the cameras, the direction, all the acting, what makes you, in your opinion, think this is a great character? What makes a great character, and why would you play it?
Well, it's purely intuitive. You read King Lear by the great man William Shakespeare, if indeed he wrote it.
General or something?
And immediately you're reading something which is heaven sent. And sometimes you read something that is quite extraordinary, and all you've got to do is keep out of the way of it? It's difficult to say, because acting in theatre and television and films is the same, and yet it's so different. It's just different in the way you do it. It's the same, but it's just different. One you just do, of course, with continuity, and the other's all broken into little bits. But
so saying it's a feeling.
It's purely intuitive. You just know whether it's a good part or not, whether I'm interested. And you're always looking for the growth of the character or the change. How does this man, through what we've seen, how does it affect him? Either way, good or bad or indifferent or whatever, but is there growth? Is there something that a redemption or something? I'm asked to play so many bloody bad people.
You're often a bad guy.
It's just endless, and which is fine. Okay, I've got to pay my mortgage. But the thing is, I'm given 6 scenes to make people hate me. And I always love that challenge. I really do.
You nailed it too.
Thank you. Sometimes. But I also like to put the audience in a rather uncomfortable position. Because I like to make these immoral men, so-called, by what they do, in a dilemma, because I like to make them irresistible, in a way, have a great sense of humor, which, rarely the hero ever has any humor at all. Have you noticed in these American movies? Oh my God. Snore, snooze, hello. Energy. I like to bring energy to a part, a sense of humor, a little something. And, that's what I try and do.
That's awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. Your first picture, I think, was If, 1968, about a boarding school where things go terribly, awfully, horribly wrong.
Actually, all right.
All right.
Which side are you on?
Given that it was your first role, you probably really moved on a lot as an actor. Do you ever look back at that first picture and wish?
The truth is, I got worse. I'm serious.
In what way?
That was the purest performance I could ever give, because it was the first. As soon as I started learning what I was doing, I screwed it all up. How? Because I knew the effect. I knew that it was a manipulation. I was actually becoming a professional actor. Oh, shit. But the first major role, on film is the purest. And I wasn't acting. I didn't know how else I would do it. It was just pure instinct.
And so a year or two later, maybe 5 years later, when you were making Aces High or something like that, it was a worse performance? Or?
No, the thing was that, from If to Clockwork Orange, it's a sort of millennium jump for me as an actor and as a person. Because Clockwork is such a calculated performance. It's laced with humor, wicked humor. And when it first came out, there wasn't one laugh in the theatre the whole way through. I thought, oh my God. In England they sort of laughed a bit. In America, not one laugh. I thought, my God, maybe it's the American sense of humor or something. I didn't get it. But of course they were completely overwhelmed with the sort of violence and what was going on. And it's not even that violent a movie in terms of physical violence. It's all rather psychological, but in terms of an acting, of having to do it, I had to find a style that's right on the cusp of being sort of grotesque and make it believable.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. He got a bit more than he bargained for there.
Hello, Mr. McDowell.
Hello.
My question, I have 2 questions. My first question is, what was Stanley Kubrick like on the set?
On to the next. We'll be here all night. Can't get into that, really. It's too long. We've only got 5 minutes left. Yes, second part of the question was?
In your career as an actor, what actors or actresses that you absolutely enjoyed working with and you'd like to do another film with them? And of course, the opposite of that, actors or actresses that were completely either looked too dramatic, I guess, on set, or...
My mind is a blank. Seriously, if I did have any, do you think I would tell you? Seriously. No, I wouldn't. I really, honestly, I can't remember having a bad experience with an actor. Maybe one. But even that, you know. Not really. I didn't say a word. Don't jump to conclusions here. God, there's so many great. From the early years, Helen Mirren, I'm thrilled that she went on to have such a great career, and I always considered Helen to be the finest actor, you know, of her generation, which is of course my generation. But I loved her. I thought she was brilliant, and God, I love so many of the young actors, you know. I don't know. Mention a few that I've worked with, because my mind is a blank. I can never remember who the hell I've worked with. You can't either. All right, on to the next question.
Patrick Stewart or...
Who?
Patrick Stewart or...
Patrick Stewart? You joking? He's older than I am. Of course, Pat, a good actor, you know, but we're not getting into... This is fluff, you know, Star Trek is fluffy stuff, it's not real acting. Posturing.
Peter O'Toole.
What?
Peter O'Toole.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. O'Toole is one of the great actors, of course. And hilariously funny. I loved him. I do. And sad that he retired, but of course he is 80, he's probably just had enough. But, you know, I loved him. I loved these great old English actors that I worked with. Laurence Olivier, John Gielgud, and Ralph Richardson. The three great nights. So, and you know, and Pat will forgive me, but, you know, to him, too, they were the great actors of their generation. And the weird thing is, they all came at the same time. And they were amazing. You know, John Gielgud in Rome doing Caligula. Can you think of anything funnier than that? A Knight of the Realm, as Peter O'Toole said to him, "Oh, Johnny, what's it feel like, a Knight of the Realm, to be in a porno movie?" Really? Do you think so? I think it's awfully good, actually. Listen, you've been a wonderful audience. Come by and say hello at my table and shake my hand. I'll give you the tissue as well. But thanks so much. Montreal has been great.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Malcolm McDowell.